planet is in peril. Climate change is a very big problem. It threatens to affect everybody. It is a clear and present danger to all of us, whether we are rich or poor, or living in developing country or developed country. It affects everybody equally. There is a very pressing need to bring down greenhouse gas emissions such as carbon dioxide and methane. Now, emission reductions are very expensive to do. You need large projects for that. In the Indian context, we cannot but use coal, which is the only major source of energy that we have. But if we burn coal to produce power, we emit carbon dioxide in large quantities. The only way to cut down emissions here is to capture the carbon dioxide as it comes out of thermal power plants and bury it under the ground. These projects such as carbon capture and sequestration that are needed to decarbonize the economy, decarbonize the way we live, are all very expensive. The shift to low carbon economy costs a lot of money. The question is, who will pay for this? One of the answers is carbon markets. Carbon markets refers to trading in carbon credits. Carbon credits are electronic instruments issued for the efforts to reduce carbon dioxide emissions against a baseline, or efforts to suck carbon dioxide or absorb back carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Those who do these efforts earn carbon credits, and those who are obligated to reduce carbon dioxide emissions and are not able to do so by themselves, by their own efforts, they buy these carbon credits so that they offset or balance the emissions that they put out into the atmosphere. And therefore, you have a carbon market where there are sellers of carbon credits and there are buyers of carbon credits. There is already an international carbon market. People in India have been generating carbon credits for quite some time. They have been selling these credits in the international markets. And there are some companies in India who need to buy carbon credits. They also buy from the international markets. We never had a domestic carbon market, and now the government of India is trying to bring one. Many Indian companies are doing activities that reduce carbon dioxide emissions and are earning carbon credits. Some companies are in the business of doing things only for the purpose of generating carbon credits that they can sell and make money. For example, there are companies that manufacture and sell smokeless ovens, chullas, and they are giving them free of cost to rural folk, to villagers. When the rural folk, the poor people in the villages, they use these smokeless chullas, they burn a lot less firewood, and therefore there is a lot less carbon dioxide emissions, and they earn carbon credits, and those people who have supplied these smokeless chullas get those credits. The value of the carbon credits is more than the value of the chullas themselves, therefore they make money on this. And who will buy these credits? There are a number of companies who are either obligated to reduce emissions from their activities, or companies who have voluntarily committed themselves to making their net emissions zero. Those people, they also undertake various efforts to reduce carbon dioxide emissions, but they may not be able to do all of it by themselves. So they do whatever is possible from their side. Whenever there is a shortfall between their own targets and what they have achieved by themselves, they buy carbon credits and balance it out. Anybody can put up projects and start earning carbon credits. For example, the government of Arunachal Pradesh last year decided that it would develop 100,000 hectares of bamboo forests. You know, bamboos are trees that absorb a lot of atmospheric carbon dioxide, so there is a lot of carbon credit earning potential in it. The government of Arunachal Pradesh wants to earn these credits, sell them, and make money for itself, while also at the same time greening their state. If India had a vibrant carbon market, there would be sellers from India, there would be buyers from India. The money that is generated in India will stay in India. In December 2022, the Parliament passed the Energy Conservation Amendment Bill. The bill amended the Energy Conservation Act of 2001 to empower the government to establish carbon markets in India, and specifically a carbon trading system. The carbon market is not in place yet, but the government is making efforts to bring it, and pretty soon we will have a regulatory framework for carbon markets in India. Now, what exactly does having a domestic carbon market mean? All the thermal power companies in India, oil and gas companies, and companies like Tata Motors, Godrej, Infosys, Wipro have all voluntarily committed that by a certain year, none of their businesses will put out an ounce of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. All these companies would need to buy carbon credit to fill in any shortfall in their own efforts. On the other hand, companies that do things like soil conservation, put up wind and solar projects, or build forests earn carbon credits. Look at it from the point of a coal power company like say NTPC or Tata Power. If these companies need to avoid carbon dioxide emissions, they should put up carbon capture and sequestration projects to capture all the carbon dioxide coming out of their power plants and then bury the carbon dioxide under the ground. Instead, they can buy carbon credits from a company that is putting up, let's say, a bamboo project or a mango forest or something, and offset or balance out their emissions, thereby enabling a take back of the carbon dioxide emissions that they have put up. Now, how effective is this going to be? To this, we go to a recent study done by this body called the World Resources Institute, WRI. It took 21 large businesses in India that account for 10% of industrial carbon dioxide emissions and worked out what if all these companies put up projects that would earn them carbon credits, and then they sold these carbon credits and made money out of it. And then they found out that if all these companies use the carbon markets effectively, the total cost of emission reduction would come down by something like 28%. That's a lot of money. The message is simply that if there is a carbon market, the cost of emission reductions itself will come down. In the years to come, India will see a full-blown new industry, which is that of earning and selling carbon credits, and the fun is just beginning.